Hey everyone, Noah Zerby here. This is one in a series of a number of short videos where we're going to be looking at key concepts in international relations. This video deals specifically with the idea of polarity. The idea of polarity is central to understanding the distribution of power in the international system. But what exactly do we mean by polarity? At its most basic level, polarity refers to the number of major powers or poles in the international system. Thus, we can think of polarity as the degree to which economic or military capabilities are concentrated in the international system. The points of concentration are often referred to as poles. Polarity is a central concept to realist analysis, which emphasizes the distribution of power in the international system as a key determinant in understanding the likelihood of conflict. Importantly, power here is understood not just as military force, but as a combination of economic, military, and even cultural influence. The type of polarity is determined by the number of major powers or poles in the international system. In a unipolar system, a single dominant power, sometimes called a hegemon, exists. An example of a unipolar system might be the United States immediately after the Cold War. In this system, the major power is able to exert extensive influence over global affairs. However, they tend to be unstable and encourage aggressive behavior on the part of the hegemon. In a bipolar system, there are two dominant powers or blocks of powers. An example of a bipolar system might be the United States and the Soviet Union during the Cold War era. Bipolar systems tend to be very stable but are often on the brink of war. And finally, in a multipolar system, there are numerous, three or more, major powers, each of which is competing for dominance against the others. There are numerous examples of multipolar systems in history, including in Europe during the 30 Years' War and the Concert of Europe period, and in China during the Warring States period. Now, some scholars debate whether we have transitioned from a unipolar system after the Cold War to a multipolar system today, with American supremacy challenged by Russia, China, the European Union, and other major actors. The idea of polarity draws our attention to a couple of interesting questions in international relations today. First, which system of polarity, unipolar, bipolar, or multipolar, do you think best describes the world currently? Is the world unipolar with a single dominant pole, bipolar with two dominant poles, or multipolar with multiple competing centers of power? Why do you think this? And while we're at it, who are the major poles today? And secondly, which system is likely to be most stable and, as a corollary, have less conflict? There are several competing schools of thought on this. Some scholars argue that unipolar systems are the most stable because one dominant power is able to act to reduce the chances of a large-scale war. Think of Britain in the 1800s during the Pax Britannica period or the Roman Empire under Pax Romanica as examples. Other scholars, particularly neo-realists like Kenneth Waltz, argue that bipolar systems are the most stable. While conflict may exist outside of the core dominant powers, the relative equality of the two poles reduces the likelihood of large-scale conflict between them. Think of the United States and the Soviet Union during the Cold War. While they regularly fought proxy wars throughout the world, they successfully avoided direct military conflict between one another. Still others, including classical realists like Hans Morgenthau or E.H. Carr, contend that multipolar systems are the least war-prone, as shifting alliances and balance of power can mitigate against conflict. Neo-realists like Kenneth Waltz argue the exact opposite, that the unpredictability of multipolar systems increases the likelihood of conflict. So that concludes our brief introduction to polarity in international relations. In our next video, we'll consider hegemonic stability theory, which looks more closely at the implications of unipolar systems. Thanks for watching. Bye.